Welcome back, everybody, to a special edition of Bubblegum Sports Unfiltered. To my, right on the screen would be GM Jeff, and then below us there is Clayton. Clayton, thanks for coming back again. This is going to be a huge show. I can't wait to see who joins us. Let's open up. Let's get right to it. Let's open up with the much talked about halftime show with Bad Bunny. Now, for those of you at home that are like, who? Bad Bunny who? Let's give you a quick rundown of some of his achievements so you have just a general idea. 6 Grammys, 12 Latin Grammys, 10-time Billboard Music Awards, the most streamed album ever on Spotify. He has 24 tracks with 1 billion streams, and he was obviously involved in Happy Gilmore 2. If you guys watched that movie, he was the caddy, and he was involved with WWE as well. So, first things first, what is your guys' opinion on the halftime show? Jeff, I'll let you start.
That is a lot of songs that I've never heard of. So, apparently he's very popular. I'm old. I've never heard of him. Until they announced it, I didn't know any of his music. I still don't know any of his music. So, I have no clue. I have no opinion on it because I don't know what he is. So.
All right, Clay, what do you think?
I guess internationally he's pretty big, but I know him from Happy Gilmore 2 and being a caddy and acting more than I ever knew of him for music. I couldn't name one single song by him, probably because I don't know him, that they're all in Spanish. Let's do it. I mean, maybe it'll be a good show, maybe it won't. Hard to say. I'm supposed to be coming out in a dress too, so that'll be interesting. Outstanding.
Now, I will say this. I will say that the majority of halftime shows in Super Bowl history, I really haven't had any interest in any of them, to be quite honest. There's very few where I've been like, God, I can't wait for that guy to perform. That's where I feel like this is being a little bit crazy, some of the things people are saying, just because it's a style of music maybe they don't understand or don't like. It's not my style of music, but guess what? At the halftime, you can go get a beer, or get a soda, or get something to eat. But the outrage over him performing at halftime, I think, is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's kind of where I draw the line.
They've had some pretty bad halftime shows in the past. So between Katy Perry and a couple of the other ones, I can't imagine it being a whole lot worse.
Katy Perry. Yeah. Now, to be fair, Clay, you were telling us you were looking forward to that Katy Perry show for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bad Bunny will go down as the most vibey halftime show. Now, I have some extra thoughts here because it goes way beyond music or picking a performance for the halftime show, and I'll tell you what I think here. The NFL is big. They're trying to expand, right, into different countries and to different parts of the world, right? That's obvious because every year they play a game in Germany or wherever, Mexico. They go all over. You know what's not huge in Puerto Rico right now? Football.
My guess would be NFL.
The NFL. Guess what? It's not some happenstance that the NFL picked Bad Bunny to perform, somebody that's that popular internationally. It's not about appeasing just one certain group of people. The NFL is looking out for themselves. Let's not kid ourselves here. They want to expand, and they want to expand their fan base. To me, it makes a ton of sense. And like I said, because it's not maybe something we're familiar with, doesn't mean it's not going to be a great show. I think it's going to be a very entertaining show, even if you don't know a lot of the words. And like Clayton said, it can't be a whole lot worse than Katy Perry. Let's just be honest with that. But I think the outrage, some people are speaking on it, kind of speaks more to some issues they have personally than the act in particular. But that's really what it's about, is I think the NFL is just trying to reach a new audience, and they're trying to expand. They already have the the audience in the States here. They want to keep expanding and expanding. And what do we hear this week? Last week, there was some word that came out that the NFL is going to eventually have a team that's not, in this country. There's going to be a team in a different country at some point in time. And I don't think it's a very distant point in time. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about the NFL trying to just expand and expand and expand?
So there's going to be a team, and it's going to. I would say the first international team would be either in Germany or England. It has been growing in England quite a bit, but in Germany it's absolutely nuts. NFL football is really taken off in Germany. It has for the past number of years. They have their own. They're part of the European Football League, and they've got a bunch of teams throughout Germany, and they all draw really well. It's exciting football. I've seen some games from over there. Obviously, it's probably like UFL level, but I would guarantee you within the next 10 years, you're going to see international teams. And I would say Europe first, and then possibly Canada. Toronto is probably going to get a team soon. But that's all what it's about.
Well, don't they already have a team? I thought the Packers pretty much were a Canadian team, the way they play defense. Like a CFL team? No? Okay. Yeah, well, you know what? That is actually right. You're right, because they only have 3 downs in Canadian football, and the teams that the Packers played never got, never had to worry. They got 3 downs, and they were kept going. Packers never got them to 4th down, so that was definitely a Canadian defense this year. Now that you talk about that, the fields are slightly bigger, and when they're on defense, it seems like the fields have a lot of space to them. So maybe there's a little something to that. Maybe they're going off a CFL philosophy the whole time. Maybe we have just figured out the problem with the Green Bay Packers right here live on the air. They're not playing in the CFL, but they think they are.
Quarterbacks that are from the CFL, like Keyshawn Nixon making the Pro Bowl, so that doesn't help.
Kurt says that's pretty low to call them a CFL defense. Accurate but low. I will agree to that. All right. My last thought on the whole Bad Bunny thing is, you see a lot of those people out there in the media saying, well, they should have a U.S. citizen, blah, 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 play it. Guys, do your research. Well,
technically, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, technically, he is a U.S. citizen.
No, that's exactly my point. But that's a big part of the outrage is that, well, they would bring someone in that's not a U. Guys and girls, please do some research.
And not only that, if you look back at some of those other halftime shows, if they're worried about that, they had Paul McCartney in 2005, and he wasn't a U.S.
citizen. And that's my point. A lot of these people that they were happy with are not U.S. citizens. Let's get beyond that. Let's stop looking at that trash and do some research. And that's the last. Go ahead.
My ultimate halftime show is a marching band. And they did away with that in the 70s. And I say bring a marching band back. Have a battle of the marching bands and do that because, nobody really cares. And if you're right, Dave, if you're getting upset over a halftime show, man, you got way too much time on your hands.
Because honestly, if you're a diehard football fan, let's be quite honest. You're not there to watch the halftime show in the beginning. The halftime shows are not for the diehard football fan, and they never have been. No, they never have been.
Another audience.
Yes, it's the same principle as why the World Wrestling Entertainment brings in all these celebrities and the YouTubers and podcasters. They're not for the mainstream wrestling fan. They're to attract a different audience. That's all they're trying to do. It's so ridiculous. Some of the hate that's being spewed over something so stupid, but people need a reality check, man. All right, let's get into the actual game itself. Super Bowl special. Now, I'm not here to gloat, okay? I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not here to take victory laps. If I were, though, I would say something about 2 years ago, we were sitting right here live on the air, and I said, Mike Vrabel, when he gets his next job, he's going to turn that team around in the first season. Here we are, fast forward to, second of all, the Packers should have fired LaFleur last year and gotten Mike Vrabel. The whole time, I took so much crap for saying the Packers are coached soft. The whole time, they could have had a guy like Vrabel waiting in the wings. The Packers decided to run it back for a 7 seed in the playoffs with Matt LaFleur, who's not going to change who he is, guys. You guys call me crazy. The proof is in the pudding. How many opportunities do you need to see the same thing over and over? Coaches don't change like that. Just like the 2-time now, I also predicted he was going to win Coach of the Year. He's now won it twice. And when he wins tomorrow night, when his team wins, he'll be the first person ever in the history of the game to win a Super Bowl as a coach and a player for the same organization. Now that's something. And like I said, if I was the guy who liked to take victory laps, I'd bring all that up, but I'm not. Okay, we're here about
Thank God.
we're here about the game, and let's get into the game. Okay, biggest matchup. What do you guys think is the key? The biggest matchup of this game, Clayton. We'll start with you.
What do I think?
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest matchups in this game is how do they deal with JSN? How do you if you're the Patriots, eliminating him from the game is going to be your number one goal, and you make them beat you without having JSN. If they can do that, I think they'll have a much better shot. But if they don't, if they let him run wild, Seahawks are going to be tough to
now beat. That is an excellent point. That's exactly where I would have started too. Christian Gonzalez is the Patriots guy. I think he's a third-year corner. He's their guy they depend on a lot, and typically he would travel with the number one receiver all over the field. I'm not sure if they're going to do that tomorrow, and I don't expect him to fully shut JSN down. I think if he can just keep him pedestrian, like a 4 or 5 catch game for 60 yards and no touchdowns, that would be a huge win. I think if Christian Gonzalez wins that matchup or keeps that, like I said, an average game for JSN, I think that's one of the keys for New England to possibly pull this one out. Jeff, do you have anything different, or is that kind of what you were thinking too?
Well, I think the biggest one of the keys is the quarterback play. How the quarterback's going to play tomorrow? You got Sam Darnold, who supposedly has never won the big game. All right, you've got basically a rookie on the other side of the ball with the Drake May. So it's going to be an interesting matchup to see what how the quarterbacks do, and I'm kind of pulling for Sam Darnold just because how he was treated in Minnesota, and so I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. I think quarterback play is going to be the deciding factor, and the defense's coaching. Like you said, Dave, I don't often agree with you, but Vrabel is the coach of the year and he's
2 times.
It's going to be crazy. He's 2-time coach of the year, and that's going to make a big difference. He's been there as a player. Now he's going to be there as a coach. Brings a lot of experience. It's going to be an interesting game. My prediction, not that you asked, but I actually think the Seahawks are going to pull it out. It's going to be pretty close, 27-24, I would say, but it should be. Hopefully, it's that close. Nobody wants to see another game that's over at halftime like it was last year. The Chiefs are just blown out completely. So hopefully, it's a close game. I think that's what everybody wants.
Now we're gonna get back to. I have one more matchup that we can look at. Now I promised Void, who's now a 5th grader, right, out in the New England area. I promised Void that he could come on the air and do his book report on Mike Vrabel that he's been working on all year. That's how far back it went when I said this was going to happen. And he already typed into the chat. First of all, he said Christian Gonzalez can lock JSN. Void, I hope you're right. And then Void's first hero, he gives a shout out to Benny Bayless. Okay, he wanted to meet him at the wrestling event, but Benny was a no-show. So Void was unable to meet his idol, Benny Bayless. No big deal. Now, here we go. He gave us a little taste of his book report here. I haven't read it over yet, so hopefully there's no curse words in there. Your mommy's going to send you to bed without dinner tonight, Void, if she sees something profane on this stream here. But we're going to get to it right here. Here we go. I'll narrate it. Mike Vrabel was born on a Sunday. He went on to win 3 Super Bowls with the Patriots and now becomes our head coach after winning Coach of the Year for the 2nd time. Here comes his Super Bowl as a coach. Man, Man. I think right there.
That's not A+ material. I don't know what is.
And I can tell because most of the words are spelled correctly. Benny Bayless did not have anything to do with the beginning of this book report. Now, Void, you may have to add a few extra words. I don't know if this will quite fill the 10 pages that you were asked to write, but it's a good start. Maybe if you draw some pictures and draw up some plays that they use to win tomorrow night, that might put you over the top. What do we think, guys? A+ book report?
I'm thinking that's a first ballot Hall of Fame bookmark or book report right there. That's going in his grade school Hall of Fame, I think.
Void, nice job, buddy. I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud of you. All right. So we talked about the biggest matchup. I agree with you guys. I actually like both of your takes on that. I agree with you too, Jeff. The quarterback play is going to be huge because Drake May, as great as he was in the regular season, has not. Now, granted, they've played a top 5 defense every week in the playoffs. This is no different.
The weather that he had to contend with wasn't ideal. So,
I have a question on that at the very end of the show. But there was a punt in that game that the announcers didn't even know where the ball went, and you couldn't see it on TV. They're like, it's down there somewhere. It was like a 27-yard punt. Crazy conditions. Now, we talked about a big matchup, right? What about one advantage you can pick out that either team really has over the other one? One distinct advantage. I'll go first to give you guys a moment on this one. For Seattle, I think it's their secondary. They're physical, but they also have a lot of speed in their secondary. I think that's how their path to winning is through their secondary. And with New England, they have a dual running back by committee, Henderson and Stevenson. Seattle plays a lot of zone tendencies, so having two guys that can do a little bit of both, I think as this game stays close, if it stays close late into the game, you can see those running backs starting to take advantage of the short passes and maybe to start the game, help Drake May out a little bit. I felt like he was pressing a little bit in the last couple games, just having to do a little bit too much, and maybe the moment was getting a little big for him because he's such a young guy, which would be normal. But I think the two running backs can definitely, take over the game at the right time. Jeff, what do you think? What's one distinct advantage one of the teams has?
I'm gonna do a cop out, and I'm gonna say the distinct advantage is for New England is going to be their coach, and not only because you keep bringing it up, but because of his experience of being there as a player. He knows what the players are going to have to go through. He's able to speak to that. He's going to be able to give them, how they should handle that, how they handled the media this week, how they handle everything leading up to the game tomorrow. And just the fact, it's how he's coached the team along this year has just been incredible. The huge turnaround. I hear a lot of people talking about they haven't beaten anybody this year, and they haven't. I guess the schedule isn't the strongest, but when it came down to it, they're in the Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter. They won the games that they had to win. They don't make the schedule; they play the schedule, and they did it very well. And all the credit goes to Vrabel, and I think that's the advantage. His experience. If the Patriots win tomorrow, it's going to be all because of the coaching, 100%.
Clayton, what do you think? What's one distinct advantage one of the teams has over the other one you feel like they can really take advantage of?
Well, what I think they can take advantage of for the Seahawks is JSN is one of the best, if not the best receiver right now in the NFL. I don't know if there's one single corner who can fully lock him down, which being said, you're going to have to rotate safeties over and do like a 1-double-85 like they had to do with Chad Ochocinco back in the day.
Yee.
That being said, now you're opening up the potential for that running game and let Kenneth Walker run, who's really good. I like Kenneth Walker a lot, very explosive. If the Seahawks can run the ball with them having to pull safeties to help in the receiving side, that's going to be the key for the Seahawks. Can they run the ball and keep it on the ground? If they can run the ball and get yardage on the ground, I see them winning that game. But if they can't move the ball on the ground, Patriots they're going to be really tough. But it's going to be, and then, on the Patriots side, can they give enough time for Drake May to get the ball off? Those front four for the Seahawks are very good. They don't blitz much. They get after the quarterback with four guys. But I think JSN having to be probably double teamed in that game to slow him down is going to open up the running game a little bit for the Seahawks.
That's definitely a good point. Void says, why doesn't every team that has the easiest schedule in the league go to the Super Bowl? Don't easy schedule me. Void's all fired up. Void,
that's cool.
Man, Void might have to be called off of school on Monday in New England if the Patriots win the Super Bowl. I hope your mommy calls you out of school, Void, because you would deserve to go to the
Benny
parade.
Can write him a note. Benny will write him a note. Dr. Benny will write him a note, get him out of school.
And Kurt also says, Void, he commends you. He commends the lad for using proper pronunciation and spelling. And you know how big spelling is for Kurt. He's the spelling police. He's had many a fight on this very channel about people misspelling words. So Kurt gives you his stamp of approval. Now, one other matchup in this game, as much as Seattle has a good defense, New England has some matchups that they are going to look to exploit. And specifically, I think New England's interior defense, their defensive tackles against the interior of Seattle's offensive line, I think that is a weak spot for Seattle, specifically the interior part of that line. And I think that is where, if New England wins this game and their defense has a couple of big plays, you're going to see a push right up through the inside. So keep an eye on that tomorrow. Now, I want to hear predictions too. I want to hear predictions for you guys out there. Winner and score. 82.8% of experts have picked the Seahawks. They're the betting favorites. They're favored by 4.5. But I will caution you on this. There is nobody in the history of the last decade who thrives off of his team being an underdog better than Mike Vrabel. And I think they're going to use every possible bulletin board material and all these bets and all these experts. I think last week nobody picked them, or 2 weeks ago, none of the experts on NFL Network picked them to win the game. They're using all that, and that's right up their alley. Being an underdog is a Mike Vrabel specialty, so it should be very, very interesting. Who wants to go first with their prediction on the game? And I want to hear the fans, too, out there.
I gave mine. I said 27-24, and I gave it to the Seahawks. But New England win would not surprise me whatsoever. I think it's going to be that close. But I'm unfortunately I got to go with everybody else. It seems, and you're right. There was 85 to 90% of anybody who has talked has picked the Seahawks, and that makes me want to say New England, just because with that amount of confidence people have in the Seahawks, is that getting through to them? That the Seahawks just basically thinking they just have to show up and they're going to forget about the game? I don't know. New England win would not surprise me whatsoever with all the confidence that everybody's thrown behind the Seahawks. But I'm going with the Seahawks on this one.
Now, before we get to Clayton's opinion, we got a few guys out here in TV land. Soul Glow says, I know that's not what it says, but Soul Glow, that's what we're going to call you for streaming purposes here. A classic Pats versus Hawks. This will be interesting, just like Jeff said. He just hopes it's going to be competitive and not a blowout. He has the Seahawks winning by 3, 30-27. That's not a bad prediction. Kurt says Patriots 30-27. Interesting. I feel like that's a cut and paste deal there and just reversing the teams.
I don't think Kurt knows how to cut and paste.
And then Void says, at least points allowed. Chargers 3, Texans 16, Broncos 7. That is true. I think that interior of that line, Void, is really going to play a role. The Patriots defense and special teams are going to win it, he says, 31-21. Clayton, what say you about the Super Bowl? Who do you think is going to take it home?
Well, you got two of the best defenses in the NFL going against each other and two fairly inexperienced offenses. I think you're going to see more of a defensive battle. I do like the Seahawks. I think the game could go either way. It's going to be a defensive battle, but I'm going to take the Seahawks 20-17 in the game. Low scoring. two good defenses battling. You're probably going to see turnovers on both sides. Even the games that they've won for the Patriots, they haven't put up a lot of points, and they're playing one of the better defenses in the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, they haven't played a ton of great defenses like the Patriots. So if they can stop from turning it over a ton, I think it'll be a low-scoring defensive battle. 2017 Seahawks on top. I do give the special teams advantage myself to the Seahawks. I like Rashid Shaheed. I think they got a damn good returner there. It's going to be a tough game.
Isn't Shaheed just an all speed, no results kind of player though so far in his career?
I don't know. He returned a couple for a touchdown already this year, one in the playoffs, I think. So I mean, speed helps.
Speed definitely does help. All right. Kurt says cutting and pasting is very difficult for him. His son has to help him. I believe that 100%. I'm going to go 24-20 Patriots in a relatively low scoring game. I feel like the defenses are going to feel each other out to start the game. You're going to see the haymakers come, early third quarter. I just think I'm not going to bet against Vrabel. I've seen him as an underdog too many times in a big game. I'm going Patriots 24-20. All right. You guys let us know out there if you have any other opinions on the game. We're going to get on to one or two more topics here before we head out. So one thing I want to ask you guys is the conference championship games in the last 5 years, a lot of those games have been decided in really horrible weather conditions. And I was kind of surprised at the outrage on social media. And I'm not talking about just random people. I'm talking about the outrage from athletes like quarterbacks and, Hall of Famers that actually played in the NFL, saying there's a lot of them, actually, more than just a couple. There's a lot of them that are pushing for the NFL to possibly look into having those conference championship games at a neutral site as well. I think that's crazy, and I'll tell you why, but I want to get your guys' opinion too. Do you think conference championships should be neutral site so that the winner is determined more on a level playing field? I think screw that, because the whole season is based off of getting home field advantage. If you start taking more games away, what advantage is there to getting home field advantage? And there really wouldn't be any. So stop whining about it. If you want there to be a game played in a dome or a warm weather city, well, then win some football games is what I would say. What do you guys have to say about it?
Absolutely 100% correct. There's no reason to have conference championship games played at neutral sites. Absolutely none. Because then you're stuck in a dome somewhere, or if you choose to do it at a warm weather site, who's going to say the weather is going to be perfect there? Could rain, could still be cold. I don't know what the weather is going to be tomorrow night in San Francisco, but San Francisco is known for some cold, chilly nights. It's obviously not going to snow, but it could have some bad weather there. So, but it's a reward because the Super Bowl is neutral. It's a reward for the teams in the regular season that do well to host the conference championship. There is no reason to have it in a neutral site. And anybody who says that is just a plain idiot. They're just mad that their team lost. So they want to put it up.
Breaking news. Jeff just called Kurt Warner an idiot live on our show here. We're going to clip this one up. So I had to pause it.
If the shoe fits, then wear it, because he's an idiot. If you rely on a neutral stadium because of the weather, then no, your team has to win in the regular season in the cold. Are they going to move every cold opportunity game to a neutral site? That's just a joke. It's just stupid.
What I'm hearing if you could clip something up for me here, you're challenging Kurt Warner to come on our show live and debate you on a conference championship game being played at a neutral site. Is that basically what you're telling me?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, come on, Kurt, bring it. Because no, absolutely. There's no way that they're ever going to change that. It's just absolutely idiotic. And for him to suggest that, maybe it's because he won when they were in a dome, and that's the only way they could win. But absolutely not. The conference championships stay with the highest seed, outdoors, indoors, wherever that may lay. Then that's just where it goes. It absolutely does not have to depend on a neutral site. And then who gets? They're gonna pick the neutral site games, and then who's to say? It's actually going to be a neutral site. What if the team ends up with the home field there. Unless they hold it in a city that does not have a professional football team like Chicago. When they get their dome, they could hold it in Chicago. They're never going to make it. So just hold it in Chicago. Both games in Chicago, one in the morning, one at night. They'll be done. So maybe Kurt has a point. They could hold it there. It's in the Midwest. It's easy to get to. So as soon as Chicago gets their dome, then I'll agree to having both games there.
Speaking of Chicago, when are they going to have this stadium deal done, man? I feel like that's all we've been hearing for 2 years, and they keep moving sites. I've never seen a professional sports team not be able to get their city, besides Tampa Bay and the Rays, not be able to get their city to buy in there to their football team.
They're going to end up being the Gary Bears. They're going to be in Gary, Indiana. And I will put money on that, because Chicago and their taxes and their politics are so out of whack that the Bears are going to end up leaving Chicago. They'll still be the Chicago Bears, but they'll base themselves in Indiana if they have to.
The Gary Bears.
The Gary Bears. Mark it down.
Soul Glow says he agrees with me. Home field advantage is so crucial. It's so much more intense, especially when there's an upset. I wish the NFL would grow some balls and let them play the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
At a city of a team that has the best record in the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get it. They can always put like a big dome tent up and stuff like that. They could figure it out, right? If they knew where the Super Bowl might be. By the conference championship, you'll already have a rough idea. That would be a big benefit. They would never obviously do that because they want to rake in as much money that week as possible. But I think for sure the conference championship games, you need to let those go to the team that earned the right to host them.
Yeah, and with the Super Bowl, with all the planning and everything that goes into it, it is definitely, nowadays it's a lot harder to hold it at the home team, the highest seed team. There's just so much that logistics, hotel rooms, everything that needs to be done beforehand. Back in the 60s when the NFL and the AFL did have their championship games at the higher seed, that's a lot different. Today's game is completely different. They need to have that one at a neutral site game, and I'll agree with that, only because just the logistics of it and the preparation and all of that. They need to continue holding that at neutral sites.
What do you think, Clay? Anything different, or you kind of think the same?
I'm on the same path. I mean, both teams have to play in the conditions. They both got to go out there.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
That's what it comes down to. Both teams got to play in it and win. When the Patriots played the Broncos lost their quarterback the week before. That's the main reason why it was so bad. They had their backup playing. If they were quarterback and playing with their full rosters, it might have been a different outcome. But they both got to go play in that crap.
And you know what? The crazy thing is, I think actually the weather conditions helped the Broncos because it minimized the difference in quarterback quality because the weather was so freaking bad. And honestly, if it wasn't for a practice squatter, which is a Mike Vrabel specialty too, tipping that field goal, that 27-yard field goal with his pinky finger, that's a tie ball game late into the fourth quarter. But that field goal just missed, and the rest is history. So they weren't just kind of close; they were right on the doorsteps of winning that football game potentially. So that's a great point, Clay.
And for some teams like Green Bay, if they get a home playoff games, that's huge revenue for the city. That's huge money the city can bring in and people to bring in that you're taking away from them. And like when you send them overseas to play games overseas, you take a home game away from Green Bay, small city. That's a lot of revenue you take away from that city and what the whole city's built around that. There's a lot of different viewpoints you can look at this, but there's mainly it's both teams got to play in it and teams battle throughout the regular season so they can have that home field advantage, have that extra revenue. But, the Broncos had home field advantage and they still lost.
Yeah.
Very, very good. And you see that a lot in the last 5 or 10 years. You see a lot of one seeds go down, man, in the playoffs. I just feel like sometimes having that break and being at home sometimes puts a little extra pressure on you compared to the team that's, say, the 6 seed or 5 seed or sometimes 7 seed. They're not supposed to win. So they're playing every week. So they're just going. Every game for them is a playoff game throughout the way, and they have no pressure on them because they're supposed to lose the game, and a lot of times I think that works in the underdog's advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. On the way out here, Give me the thing you're looking forward to the most tomorrow during the Super Bowl. Could be really anything, a commercial or something you've seen on YouTube that you think is going to be cool to watch during the game, or a specific part of the game, or what are you looking forward to at the Super Bowl?
The only thing I'm really looking forward to is having a good game. I'm really looking forward to being able to sit down and watch a really decent game between two really good teams. That's what I want to see, and hopefully it's not a blowout, but definitely that, and probably the food that I'm going to consume tomorrow will be what I'm looking forward to. Definitely.
What's on the agenda? What's going to be on the spread there, Jeff, tomorrow at the mansion?
It would be easier to tell you what's not going to be on, because everything's on the table for me, as you could probably guess.
Let me guess. You're going to have some brats, right? You're going to have some burgers.
Brats,
you're going to have
burgers,
some burgers.
pizza, wings,
nachos,
tacos, burritos. I'm going to have a brat burrito. It's going to be delicious. We're going to have so much food. It's not even going to be funny.
What are you going to have? Remember last year at this time, one of our best topics, Super Bowl week, was on the debate, the boneless versus the bone-in wings. You remember how that just took off live on the channel? And
I got called a baby because I like the boneless, because I don't like to work for my food. I like to eat it like M&Ms. I want a handful of barbecue or buffalo chicken nuggets, and I want to pop that. I just want to keep popping. I don't want to work for it. I want to keep going. Keep going. And yeah, they're glorified chicken nuggets, but I don't care. That's what I want.
Good. It tastes good. It's what you want. Now, luckily for you, you've reached a status. You're such a celebrity nowadays. You can't really go out. I know you have like a maid or whatever, a butler. I don't know, depending on the day of the week. I know you have a couple different people that work for you, but you practically don't even have to feed yourself anymore, right?
No, I just sit back, and it's like, the old days with the Roman emperors where they just feed you. I just got my throne, and they're just shoveling food right into the pie hole.
I'm getting
whistle. It's just nonstop.
As soon as the kickoff starts, you just get the food brigade just starts right out of the gate.
Well, actually, as soon as the pregame starts, 9:30 tomorrow morning, man, it's all set. I am shoveling.
As I can see it. All right, let's get to a couple before we get to Clayton here. I told you, when we talk about food, it always pulls people out of the woodworks. Boyd says boneless clears, and he also says a Patriots win is what he's looking forward to most. Spending time with my friends from the schoolhouse and a Drake May MVP. Boyd, I sure hope that you get to see all those things tomorrow. And then Soulflow says boneless is the better bang for your buck. Forget all the toxic masculinity. I think he's talking to Kurt specifically, but we don't name names on the broadcast. Now, Clayton, what are you looking forward to most?
What am I looking forward to most? Honestly, I'm looking forward to Sam Darnold holding up that trophy. After everybody's given up on him and everybody said he can't do it, I would love to see him win it, especially after the Vikings having that great year last year and then not bringing him back and being awful this year. I would like to see Sam Darnold hoist that, because ever since he was a Jet, I saw him play for the Jets, and I said, he's a solid quarterback. He's going to be a good quarterback, and the Jets gave up on him. Panthers gave up on him. Niners never really gave him a shot. Vikings, he went and proved he's a good quarterback. They gave up on him. Now he's in the Super Bowl. I am looking forward to that. That's what I want to see.
And Void says, get this guy off my TV screen. You and Void are starting to build the kind of rivalry that lasts for generations.
That's right, Void.
Now here's the question, Void. If Clayton ends up winning who he thinks is going to win, are you going to have the guts to show back up next Saturday night and face him, Boyd a man, or are you going to run and hide like Benny Bayless has been doing for 2 months since A-Rod tanked in the playoffs? Let us know. Are you going to have the guts to show up live 6 p.m. Central next Saturday night, or are you going to run and hide like your hero, Benny Bayless, after his hero, A-Rod, crapped the bed in the playoffs like I told you he would? Kurt says, Jeff, what does your wife Whoa, what world does your wife think you live in? Who do you think's his maid, Kurt?
He's Caesar. Everybody else,
Yeah,
My wife's already cooking for tomorrow. She's already slaving over that stove.
Hopefully, Jeff is able to sleep in the bedroom tonight. We're not sure on the status of that. Void says they will always say follow the footsteps of your hero. So that means he's probably not going to show up if the Patriots don't win. I agree with you guys. I think this is actually I'm hoping for a good game. I like to see Vrabel win, but that would be my preference. But Sam Darnold winning, it wouldn't hurt my feelings either. I think there's a lot of guys on both sides of the ball that are kind of underdogs in a way, in certain ways. Maybe they've been cast-offs or people haven't believed in them. So I think this Super Bowl, you can kind of find a way to root for either side to a certain extent. It should be a very interesting game.
This is the first Super Bowl in a long time where I don't think there's a lot of hate driven towards either team.
No.
The Patriots, if this was 10 years ago, there would be a lot of hate to it. But this is a brand new team, brand new coach, and it's a young team. And Seahawks, there's nobody hates the Seahawks. I mean, how could you hate the Seahawks unless you're a San Francisco fan or a Rams fan?
Or a Minnesota fan. Hashtag, Sam Darnold walk right out the door for a guy who, another thing, again, right after this program, I told you guys on draft night, not in the first preseason game, I said draft night when he had a suit that was 7 sizes too big and could not dress himself properly. I said, this is a guy that is not fit to lead an NFL team. Nobody wanted to listen. I took a lot of hate mail for that, but I nailed that one right on the button, just like everything else I say on this program. You guys should have listened to me. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I would be very surprised if one team pulls away with it. And I think it's going to be a physical battle, man. It's one of the first games in quite some time where there's not a clear – yeah, I mean, I get it. Seattle's the betting favorite, and they're also favored in the game, but it's not by like 10 points or 8 points. You could legit see the game going either way, and I think it's going to kind of be a throwback game to a certain extent where you're going to see a lot of physicality to this game that's been missing in football in the last handful of years. And I like what Clayton said, too. Pay attention to the run games for both of these teams. I think the passing games of Seattle can set up their run game, and I think the versatility of the run game in New England can set up a lot of different opportunities. It's going to be a great game. Any last thoughts on our way out, boys?
No, it's looking forward to a good game, and it's hopefully Void can make it to the parade Monday or Tuesday, whatever day they have it. So Benny can write him that doctor's note, and he can enjoy that parade. And last thing, one thing, Olympics this week. Check out the Olympic hockey starts on Thursday. They're going to have a whole bunch of games in a short period of time, so check it out. It's going to be all the games are in the afternoon. So far, USA faces off at 2:10. So go USA, I guess.
And Void has given you an open invitation, Clayton, to come to the schoolhouse and hang out with the boys in New England tomorrow. So if you're not doing anything, they're looking for a chaperone for the Super Bowl on his 30-inch projection TV. You're gonna end up having are those little square pepperoni pizzas we all used to have when we were in school.
They're better than my schools was.
And apple juice. Little boxes of apple juice and chocolate milk and square pepperoni pizzas for Clay tomorrow.
All right.
Sounds like a winner.
I think the team that's more efficient running the football is going to win this game. I think it really comes down to running the football, and whoever can do that better, especially in the second half, is going to have the advantage and probably win this game. It's not going to be passing. It's going to be defense and running the football in this game.
Yep. I agree with you. It's going to be fun to watch. And I just want to be the first to congratulate my coach, Mike Vrabel, on his Super Bowl championship tomorrow night. He has become now the first guy to win it again as a coach and a player for the same team. Never been done before in the history of the league. Congratulations, Coach Vrabel. We will see you guys here next Saturday night, 6 p.m. Enjoy the Super Bowl and the rest of your week. Take care, guys.
Have a great weekend.